Dear friends, for centuries the book of Revelation has been regarded as one of the most mysterious texts ever written. But what if it was meant to be studied, not mystically, but analytically, as Isaac Newton once suggested? You probably remember the name Newton. After all, he tormented us endlessly during our school years. Yet Newton was probably the greatest scientist who ever lived. In Principia, where he studied the laws of nature, is perhaps the greatest intellectual achievement in the study of nature, as Einstein once remarked. One thing most people do not know about Newton is that his scientific work was only a small part of his impressive output. As this overview shows, he devoted far more time to theology than to any other field. In particular, he spent decades studying the prophecies of Daniel and Revelation analytically. Based on these studies, he came to a remarkable conclusion. God's providence directs the course of history. Great empires rise and fall according to a divine plan. And this is not the claim of some obscure mystic or religious zealot, but of the great Newton. Let us consider a few indications of the existence of this divine plan in Scripture. First, the prophecy concerning Cyrus. It was written approximately 150 years before his birth. It identifies the king by name, describing his mission to release the Jews held captive in Babylon and to permit the rebuilding of Jerusalem and its temple. Cyrus did indeed conquer Babylon in 539 BC, and through his decree he allowed the Jews to return and rebuild Jerusalem and the temple. Then, the prophecy concerning Alexander. Read chapter 8 of Daniel, my friends. A Greek goat comes charging from the west with great force and strikes down the ram, the king of Media and Persia. The large horn is suddenly broken off, and 4 others rise in its place, but not as powerful as the first. Let us now consider the fate of the capitals of the great powers of antiquity. What became of magnificent Memphis, the long-standing seat of the mighty pharaohs of Egypt? How many inhabitants does it have today? Jeremiah foretold, "Pack your belongings for exile, you who live in Egypt, for Memphis will be laid waste and lie in ruins without inhabitant." And what is the present condition of Babylon, the greatest and most powerful city of the ancient world? The city of hundreds of towers, with walls so wide that 2 chariots could race side by side upon them? How many inhabitants does it have today? Jeremiah declared, "Babylon will be a heap of ruins, a haunt of jackals, an object of horror and scorn, a place where no one lives." Memphis and Babylon vanished. Both became symbols of the fall of human glory, just as Shelley so powerfully captured in his iconic Ozymandias. If Scripture foretold the fall of empires, it also foretold the return of a people. Let us now turn to the reconstitution of the State of Israel, an event addressed in multiple biblical passages. The dispersion of the Jews, which intensified after 135 AD, under Emperor Hadrian, was understood by Newton as temporary, destined to be reversed in the latter stages of history. By analyzing Daniel 12, Newton attempted to calculate the timing of that restoration, placing it in the mid-20th century. The modern state of Israel was formally established in 1948. Such a projection is remarkable, both for its proximity and for its boldness, especially when we consider the condition of the Jewish people in Europe around 1700, the time of Newton's calculations. Dear friends, I have mentioned only a few striking prophetic examples among the many found in Scripture. They are, I believe, sufficient, if not to compel agreement, then at least to invite serious examination of Newton's conclusion. From Memphis to Babylon, from Cyrus to Alexander, from the dispersion under Hadrian to the restoration of Israel, history unfolds along the lines traced by prophecy. Finally, according to Newton, prophecy was not given to make people fortune-tellers. It was given to be understood after the events are fulfilled, so that it may become evident who truly authors history, who governs the world, and to whom glory ultimately belongs. Dear friends, I am one of those who chose to apply Newton's principles to the book of Revelation. As an intelligence analyst, I employed structured analytical models and disciplined methodologies, tools designed to ensure consistency and internal coherence, and I would like to present its main conclusions. As its very name indicates, the book is an apocalypse, a revelation, not a concealment, as it is sometimes portrayed. Its scope and detail are extraordinary. If I was able to understand it through study, then it is accessible to all others as well. It does not require intermediaries, just careful reading. And at its core, the message of Revelation is not fear. It is hope. Dear friends, if you have ever felt that perhaps there is something more in the universe than what Democritus described as atoms and void, that events may unfold with purpose, that there may be an unseen order in history. If you'd like to examine Newton's proposals on how prophecy works, if you are curious to explore whether Revelation truly reveals something and what that might be, I invite you to examine the evidence for yourself in my free electronic book, An Intelligence Analyst Studies the Book of Revelation. This is an attempt to approach the text, standing on the laws and the shoulders of Newton, using military-grade analytical tools that ensure a thorough and systematic examination of the text structure, applying a consistent interpretation of symbolic language, and following through with a proposed historical interpretation of the foretold events. The book has been published in English, based on the New International Version of the Bible, and in Greek, based on the official edition of the Holy Scriptures of the Church of Greece. The book is, like its subject, demanding. However, it includes embedded digital aids and visual tools, and when read on a computer, it becomes far more accessible. If you manage to read it through, you will not become prophets of the future, but you will gain the tools to explore the message that the prophecy reveals for yourselves. For now, the book of Revelation may appear complex, even chaotic, yet complexity does not necessarily mean disorder. Just as a prism reveals the spectrum hidden within white light, a consistent analytical method can reveal the structure hidden within Revelation. My dear friends, thank you sincerely for your attention. In the next video, we will apply this method to a simple example. Until then, I wish you health, peace, and every blessing.